The wait is over, DC fans, as Kyle Chandler has been cast as the DCU Hal Jordan, and it looks like we'll have our Jon Stewart coming pretty soon. The Penguin premiere debuted with huge numbers, but the question is, will it keep that momentum going throughout the rest of the season? We also got news that Supergirl has casted as villain, and there's some rumors to discuss as well. But first, welcome back to the channel, where once a week I cover all the latest news within the DC universe, and there are a ton of things to go over today. But again, thank you for clicking on the video. If you like this type of content, consider hitting that like button, but also consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel. Again, there's a lot to dive into, so let's get things started and let's talk about the Green Lantern casting. Now, this news is coming from The Hollywood Reporter, which says that Kyle Chandler is to star in HBO series The Green Lantern. Now, this was earlier in the week, as the rest of the article highlights that HBO's DC Lanterns has found as Hal Jordan, and that comes in the form of Emmy winner Kyle Chandler, who's set to play the legendary member of the Green Lantern Corps in the series, says The Hollywood Reporter. The show will be the first series role for the Friday night stars since Showtime's 2022 drama Super Pump, which I never heard of. Let me know if you guys are a fan of any of those shows. I've seen my handful of episodes of Friday Night Lights, but as I digress, the Lanterns, which scored a straight-to-series order in June after years of development, comes from Chris Mundy, who did the incredible series Ozark, one of my favorite shows of all time. We have Damian Lindelof, who I'm a big fan of, Watchmen and Lost, like they mentioned, and they have the comic book writer Tom King attached as well. And then, as they say, in recent years, he's popped up in movies big and small, one of those being Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong, as well as Damien Chazelle's Neil Armstrong biopic First Man. So just to give you all my thoughts on the decision to hire Kyle Chandler, and also just my thoughts on Kyle Chandler, I'll just start with that. So I'm a fan of his work. You know, they mentioned some of his work there, but I remember seeing him. He was great in Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street. He was in Super 8. He's been in a lot of stuff that I'm a fan of. So number one, fantastic actor. Like, I think, as they've mentioned, he's done movies, but he's also done a lot of television, and he has some pretty big success, you know, winning an Emmy and being nominated a couple times. So he is a veteran in that format, you know, both on the big screen and small screen, but in particularly with the small screen, knowing that they brought him in for the TV show. I think he's a good fit, man. Now, Kyle Chandler is 59. He fits the description as what they alluded to with first sending the offer to Josh Brolin, because as they have been stating, this will be a true detective type of series where we have Hal Jordan being the more older, grizzled veteran teaching some things to Jon Stewart. So the age range makes sense, and he's a fantastic actor who's used to the TV schedule. So I'm liking it. I did not anticipate, like, if you guys have seen my videos, John Hamm was my pick, and you know, some of those other picks that was mentioned as far as the Josh Brolins and the Chris Pines of the world, the Matthew McConaughey's, Ewan McGregor, none of those really, you know, rocked the boat for me. But I think this is a solid choice. It's been a few days since it's been announced, and it's been growing on me. So let me know before we get more into this article here. What do you think about the casting? Are you a fan of Kyle Chandler? Let's talk about that in the comments. But sticking with Kyle Chandler, there's also been some, you know, as the days have went on, I'm on social media and I've seen the feedback, and it's been mostly 50-50. Like, some people are like, that seems like kind of a ass pick, because there's been articles out there. I believe Jeff Snyder, the Scooper journalist, he put out an article on his website that there were like 5 rejections from the offers that were sent out by DC, and this seems like he was the last person to accept it, which neither here nor there. I mean, there's been so many, you know, Will Smith turning down Neo for The Matrix, and look how that turned out. And I mean, there's so many other examples of that within so many different genres of media and television and movies. So he just might be the perfect guy for the role. But again, you know, it is interesting that the reception online has been, like I said, kind of lukewarm, if you ask me. Now, before wrapping up Kyle Chandler's casting, there was another article that I read online, and that was them highlighting that the deal that he signed with Warner Brothers and HBO with the series is that his deal from the DC studios doesn't include a movie component beyond Lanterns. So let's speculate about that. So one or two things, you know, as the years have went on since the Marvel Cinematic Universe started, when they signed Chris Hemsworth, you know, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Mark Ruffalo, Nick Fury, they were signing them on for 7, 8, 9 pictures plus cameos, and the shows weren't big back then, but that was like a thing that became less and less of a common type of situation with actors attaching themselves to big IPs, especially in the superhero comic book realm. So this could be one of those scenarios where initially, and that goes back to the 5 other actors that might have, you know, that passed on the role, what if the initial deal was Lantern season 1, 2, 3, whatever the case may be, and also a Green Lantern movie, Justice League movie, appearances in here. So what if it was a situation where Josh Brolin, Matthew McConaughey, hell, even Kyle Chandler, when they first got the deal, they're like, I don't want, no ageism here, but it's like he's 59 going on 60. These are comic book, type of IPs. They shoot for months at a time. There's, the workout regimen. There's the, all the stuff that goes on with the scheduling. So it's like, hey, I don't feel comfortable signing 10 years to this character, and what, who knows if the DC universe will be able to, sustain that type of momentum throughout that deal. So what if a lot of those actors, including Kyle, was like, I'll sign the deal if it just includes me coming on to do the Lantern series, and then we can renegotiate at a later point. So I can see that being a component. But then the other component could be, what if, and this isn't guaranteed to happen, but what if the series has, as they've alluded to, that they want John Stewart to be the main Lantern in the DC universe? Obviously, we know we have Nathan Fillion coming in. There's going to probably be other Lanterns within the series and also throughout the duration of the DC cinematic universe. But what if Hal Jordan dies at the end of season 1, or, not to get all somber and death around the corner, what if he's off doing another mission? What if John Stewart, his sector is Earth, and, like I said, Hal Jordan has to do other things in the galaxy, because that's their jobs. They're protectors of the galaxy. So what if he's just doing other things? And like I said, right now, the deal is to have him in the series and to bring him back, a couple years later in a movie, in a season 2, or whatever the case may be. So there's different reasoning why he could have just signed the deal just to do the series. And again, he can re-up years later. He can make appearances years later, or he can die at the end of season 1. Or like I said, they just want to focus on John Stewart and how Jordan's off doing other things. So again, let me know before we move on to talking about John Stewart. What do you think about the casting? What do you think about this deal? And are you happy with the casting? And what do you think about Kyle Chandler as an actor? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So sticking with the Green Lanterns, let's talk about some of the news that came out this week about John Stewart. So earlier in the week, there was a list that came out about supposedly there were 5 actors in the runnings, and there was, the Damon Idrises of the world, the Aaron Pierres, the Calvin Harrison Jr., who we talked about last week. So there were some names floating around. And then in the midway point of the week, there was Idris versus Pierre. And then fast forward to as I'm recording this, the news has come out by the Hollywood Reporter that the list has narrowed down to 2 actors. And those 2 actors are Aaron Pierre and Stephan James are in the mix to play John Stewart in the Lantern series. So if this is to be true, number one, I'm going to start with Stephan James. I am a big fan of his work. My favorite role of his so far in his career has been him and If Beale Street Can Talk. He was so great in that role. I could see him playing a John Stewart. He has that physicality. He has that look. He has the charisma. He has the acting chops to pull that role off. So I think he would be a good fit. But if I'm being honest, if I were to choose between the 2, I'm going Aaron Pierre. Many weeks ago, I covered Rebel Ridge on the channel, the Netflix movie, which is phenomenal. And I said in that review that I have been a fan of Aaron Pierre since seeing him in Barry Jenkins' Underground Railroad. He was great. Even though I wasn't a fan of Old, I thought he was great in that. He was great in Brothers. He was great in Foe last year on Amazon. Fantastic actor. And to me, Rebel Ridge was kind of like his audition. Like, listen, I'm that guy. I'm that next big action guy, hopefully. And this is just the next progression. I think he would be a great fit to play John Stewart. I think he has, yes, Stephan, as I mentioned, has the physicality, but I think Aaron looks more of the role of the military man as a superhero, and I just think he would be so great. I can see him and Kyle Chandler bouncing off of each other well, even going back to Rebel Ridge and thinking of how we had him, Aaron Pierre, going against, Don Johnson, an older actor, and they're back and forth in that movie. Obviously, it's a much different relationship between Hal and John, but I just think Aaron Pierre would be a great actor for the role, and I could see him playing the role for many years to come. Now, I have seen some of the conversations online about how people feel about the light-skinnedness of Aaron Pierre, and I completely understand that side and that perspective, because Hollywood does for many years have had a thing about darker-skinned actors and not getting the same opportunities as light-skinned actors. So I understand that comparison, and I don't want to dismiss that, but I just said, just for me, I think Aaron Pierre would be great in the role. That's just my opinion. Again, this is all a rumor. I'm thinking that we're going to get John Stewart sooner rather than later as far as the announcement goes, because just about a week and a half half ago, and this might not mean anything, but I know that we had James Gunn posting something on his Instagram about Jon Stewart, no caption, just a picture of Jon Stewart, and then them getting Kyle Chandler in the mix. They want to start shooting next year. They have obviously scripts in hand. I would think that sooner rather than later, and as I'm recording this video, hell, it might be next week that we get the official announcement. I think we're going to get the announcement sooner rather than later. And again, for me, I'm going Aaron Pierre. If Stephan James gets it, or if someone comes in, and because Kyle Chandler was not on anyone's list, if you ask me, so it could be someone completely different. So let me know what you all think about the last two who could potentially be playing Jon Stewart, or if there's someone else you'd like to see in the role, let me know. And also, do you think we're going to get that announcement sooner rather than later? Let's talk about that in the comments below. So next, talking about The Penguin on HBO. Now, this is coming from Variety, as the article reads that the premiere debuted to 5.3 million views across all platforms. It had the biggest 4-day audience for a new series on Max since The Last of Us, which is a great series. But shout out to the cast, the crew, the creators, DC, Matt Reeves, everyone involved. This is huge for this type of show, because if you guys remember when they announced The Penguin, it was just like, yeah, we like Colin Farrell, but does he need his own show? Well, it looks like there is a big intrigue in that. And also, this answers the question about, the whole, we have a DCU, we have an Elseworld, like, is people going to really be bouncing back and forth as far as like excitement? And from the first episode, which as I reviewed on the channel and talked about in my last video, what a premiere episode. Loved every single second of it. Can't wait at the time of recording. I will be having my episode 2 review ready for Sunday night. So I am all aboard for The Penguin. I'm so glad that the numbers really show promise for the show and that people are excited for the show. Now, I do have a question. This was a weird release schedule, because they release it on a Thursday and then 10 days later they're going to do episode 2. I wonder if there's going to be any momentum loss between that gap, because some people might think, oh, every Thursday I'm going to watch The Penguin, but then it didn't pop up last Thursday. It's going to be on Sunday. So I'm just curious on like how the numbers are going to be, and also just curious on the viewership over the next 7 weeks. Are people are the numbers going to continue to go up? Are they going to stay the same? Are they going to lower down? So I think they're going to continue to go up, because from all accounts, again, I haven't seen episode 2 at the time of recording, but from all accounts, from people I know that have watched the entire series, according to them, the show just gets better and better and better. So I would assume the better it gets, the more people are going to have the word of mouth. People like myself are going to be talking about it. So I'm anticipating this show to be one of the biggest shows of the year, especially for HBO. So let me know your thoughts on those numbers, and if you're watching The Penguin, let me know your thoughts on it so far. And again, like I said, as I'm recording this, I will be having my review out for episode 2 on Sunday once the episode drops, so keep an eye out for that. But again, congratulations to The Penguin. I'm excited to see what else they have for the rest of this season. All right, moving on to Supergirl, and this comes from Deadline. This is exclusive that Matthias Schoenaerts has been cast in Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. As the article reads, that we can tell you that Rust and Bones actor Matthias Schoenaerts has landed the villain role in DC's Supergirl. As the article continues to read, that they said that they told you that first that Greg Gillespie will be directing this movie, and that this will be in the next chapter of Gods and Monsters Phase 1 and James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Extended Universe. The film will lens in January in the UK and hit theaters of June 26, 2026. Now, going back and talking about Matthias, who will be playing Krim of the Yellow Heels. Now, in the comics, Krim murders the father of Ruth Mary Knoll, an alien girl who eventually becomes an adventuring companion to Supergirl. Now, following her father's death, Ruth embarks on a journey across the stars with the Kryptonian Kara Zor-El in search of Krim. Now, at one point in this story, he actually shoots 2 arrows at Supergirl and another at Crypto the Superdog before fleeing in Carl's ship. So whether it's shooting arrows at dogs or killing innocent people, he does sound like a badass character in a villain sense. So I am excited to see this character on screen. I have seen 1 or 2 of Matthias's projects. He seems like a pretty menacing individual. And from what I understand, there was an article online, like a video, and if I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen now. But there's an interview where it was said that Zack Snyder actually talked to Matthias before he talked to Ben Affleck as kind of like a backup plan if Ben didn't accept the role for his Batman and Batman versus Superman. So Matthias was on the short list of actors to play Batman for Zack Snyder. So it just goes to show you that he's kind of been circling a role for the DC universe for a while, but now he's playing a villain, which again, this villain sounds pretty awesome. So admittedly, I haven't read the particular story that this movie will be based upon, but I know little bit about it as I read with the synopsis and some other things I knew about it prior to the announcement of the film. But I'm excited, man. Like, I've seen one or two projects that Matthias has been in, and he seems like a really menacing individual. Seems like a really great actor that can, fit this role really well. And again, going back to the movie and just the story it's based upon. Number one, Greg Gillespie, big fan of his, whether it's I, Tonya, Corella. Last year he did Dumb Money. He also directed a couple episodes of Pam and Tommy. He is a great director, and he always does like a good job with his female leads. So really excited to see him teaming up with Millie Alcock, who will be playing Supergirl, who I'm a fan of. Obviously, a lot of people know her from her role as Rhaenyra in House of the Dragon. She, to me, stole the first half of that first season. She was incredible, and this is obviously her next big break. And I'm excited for this film, man. Like, again, from everything I know about it, again, not having read the full comic, but I plan on doing so. Super heavy into science fiction. It gets super dark. It has a lot of different cool tones to kind of play into. And again, really getting the opportunity to see Supergirl on the big screen in this type of capacity, meaning that it's going to be the second film in the DC universe. I'm here for it, man. But sticking with Supergirl, there's also a rumor I'm going to share with you all. So again, take this with a grain of salt. Now, the rumor is, and this was on Twitter, on X, that Deadline reported that Millie Alcock will reportedly appear in another DC project before making her theatrical debut in Supergirl, which again will be coming out in 2026. I think that's a no-brainer, and if I were to guess what project she's going to appear in, I would assume that it's probably the Superman film that will be coming out next summer. I think that makes plenty. Now, I don't think she's going to be a big character in the movie. Like, I can see her. Clark has some issues with the villain. Maybe she comes in and kind of talks to him, gives him a little motivation, or maybe she's in the third act to help him defeat the villain, or maybe she pops up into the post-credit scene, which leads into her movie. So I think it's pretty safe to assume that we will be seeing Supergirl and Superman. And if not Superman, I mean, other projects that we'll be releasing prior to the Supergirl movie, maybe we see her popping in, like, I don't know, Creature Commandos. Could that be something that we can see a little cameo from her voicing the character? Because we know James Gunn has said that the actors that are playing in the animated world will most likely be playing their counterpart in the live action and vice versa. So could she appear in Creature Commandos, which drops in December? Could she possibly pop up in the Peacemaker series? Because that will be coming out hopefully next year as well, or right before her movie comes out. But I am to assume that it will be Superman, but it could be other projects. So let me know what you all think about, number one, the announcement of Matthias playing the villain in Supergirl. What are your thoughts on that film? What are you most excited to see from that movie? And also, where do you think we're going to see Supergirl before her own film? Will it be Superman, Creature Commandos, Peacemaker? Let me know your thoughts on all that in the comments below. So before we wrap up, another rumor that hit online, and again, take this with a grain of salt, but it's been a conversation we've been having for the last couple weeks, and that is Mr. Freeze. Now, according to the rumor online, that we will be seeing a Mr. Freeze movie taking place in the Batman universe, taking place in Matt Reeves' universe, who's also said to have his production company attached to this. And this comes under this production weekly that says that this is a project that's in development. So again, take it with a grain of salt, but as I've said in the past, where there's smoke, there's fire. There has been some momentum building into a Mr. Freeze type of project, whether it be the conversation we had in the last video with the Batman Part 2 taking place in the winter, which, you can have a bunch of villains in the winter, but I mean, Mr. Freeze seems like a pretty good villain to have in that type of setting. But also the confirmation that the producers of The Penguin and also Matt Reeves have talked about that they do want to continue to do other spin-off series. So we talked about, a Harvey Dent series, a Catwoman series. Mr. Freeze, is it a series? According to this breakdown, that it looks like it's going to be a movie. Interesting if it's a movie, because I've always assumed that they would want to do, a series before they do a movie for a solo character. And again, of course, we know they did that with the Joker. But let me know what you all think about a Mr. Freeze movie. Would you prefer a movie over a series, or a series over a movie? And do you think this character deserves to have their own solo project in the Batman universe? Let me know your thoughts on all of that. So as I was editing this video, we got some breaking news that I want to share with you all, and this comes exclusively from the Hollywood Reporter that Batman villains Bane and Deathstroke are getting a movie treatment at DC Studios. Sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that Bane, the super steroid injecting antagonist who previously was seen in 2012's Christopher Nolan's movie The Dark Knight Rises, and Deathstroke, another popular arch nemesis in the comic book company's fold, are being lassoed together for a movie. The James Gunn and Peter Safran led DC Studios is developing a script from Matthew Orton Jordan, who scribed the upcoming Captain America Brave New World movie. The rest of the article just goes over Matthew's resume, what he's worked on in the past, and they also mention that there isn't a director attached to this project quite yet, but my goodness, these are two of my favorite Batman villains. Obviously, we saw Bane on the big screen with Tom Hardy, who I thought was great, and I am a huge Slade Wilson fan. I loved his appearance and all the things I've seen in live action, whether it was Teen Titans or in Arrow. And of course, we know that Joe Manganiello was supposed to play the character. We saw him in the post-credit scene of the Justice League film, and it broke my heart when I heard the news that Gareth Edwards' film, who directed The Raid, he was attached to direct a Deathstroke movie, but obviously that was canceled. So Bane and Deathstroke teaming up, like, is it obviously the Batman they're going to be teaming up against? Is it someone else entirely? Like, is this going to take place before or after Batman? Will it have anything to do with Damian Wayne, who's in that movie as well? So listen, I don't care what it's about. I love these villains. I'm so excited to see who they cast in the role. So again, this is breaking news. I'll probably have more to say on this once the news comes out by next week's video, but let me know in the comments if you're excited for a Bane and Deathstroke movie. Let's talk about it in the comments below. All right, so we have made it to the end of this week's breakdown of all the latest big news in the DC universe. What a fun time to be a DC fan. I am so excited for these projects. Again, let me know your thoughts on the Penguin numbers, everything we talked about with the Green Lantern casting with Kyle Chandler, Aaron Pierre, Stephan James. Like, what do you all think about that? And of course, the rumors out there with Millie Alcock apparently appearing in a film before her own movie. And do you want to see a Mr. Freeze movie or series? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching today's video. Like I said, so far I've been doing these every Saturday and I've been having a fun time doing it. So if you guys are enjoying this videos and these type of videos with the DC fans out there, hit that thumbs up, share this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel. You all are awesome. Also, before I wrap this up, I will be seeing, again, keep your eye out for my review of the Penguin episode 2 dropping on this coming Sunday, but also I will be seeing the Joker 2 on Monday. So for my movie fans, out of theater reaction, spoiler review coming pretty soon. So with all that being said, thank you again for watching this video. You all are awesome. Stay safe, and I'll catch you all on the next breakdown.